Okay, so we have a major update on the Romeo Doubs situation since it came out last night from Bill Huber of Sports Illustrated that Romeo Doubs had skipped practice Thursday and Friday because he was unhappy with his opportunities in the passing game. Now it officially came out in the past 10 minutes at Packers.com. It says here, the Green Bay Packers have placed wide receiver Romeo Doubs on the reserve/suspended list for one game for conduct detrimental to the team. They also signed cornerback Robert Rochelle from the practice squad to the active roster and elevated fullback Andrew Breck from the practice squad. And then here's a quote from Brian Gutekunst. Unfortunately, we had to make the difficult decision to suspend Romeo for this week's game, said Gutekunst. His decisions and actions during the week negatively impacted the team and required us to take this action. While we are certainly disappointed, we are confident that we will be able to move forward in a positive manner. Romeo is a valuable member of our team, and we look forward to welcoming him back next week. So that sort of confirms, I would say, this entire situation. Obviously, we do not know everything. I've said I trust Bill Huber and his report because he's been pretty reliable over the years that I've followed him and have read him, and so I didn't think he would just, make something up out of thin air. And so now the fact that the Packers have suspended him, it goes in line, I think, with the fact that he seemed unhappy with his opportunities in the passing game. And I saw lots of people bring up on social media, I also think it was in an Acme Packing Company article, that maybe after the Packers got their game plan in on Wednesday, that Doubs saw the game plan and maybe didn't focus on him as much as he had hoped with Christian Watson out, and that could potentially be what sort of led him to be more frustrated, which that sort of makes sense, I would say, because if you look at the stats as I've brought up, he only has 2 less targets than Jaden Reed and Dontavian Wicks, and so it's not like he's not being looked to at all in the passing game. And so this is pretty surprising, and it makes you think back to last season when Jair Alexander got suspended for one game for going out there when he wasn't supposed to be a captain. I believe it was in his hometown, got suspended. With Jair, things did get better. It seemed like that sort of allowed him to, start to be in a better relationship with the organization, and since then there's been no issues. And so now with Romeo Doubs, hopefully this is something that can be fixed going forward, but clearly he was frustrated with the entire situation. And, I shared how Kurt Benkert had brought up that there's more to the story than we're hearing, but clearly the Packers believe that whatever Doubs did, whether it was just being unhappy with, his opportunities, there's probably more to the story. It's probably even deeper than that. We just probably will never know exactly what it is, just like with Jair's suspension. We didn't get all the information. I remember Matt LaFleur saying that it was more than just him going out there as a captain when he wasn't supposed to be a captain. So we may not probably ever hear every single thing or the details about what went down, but it does look like what Bill Huber reported. It sounds very accurate based on what has now happened with the Packers. So now the big question is going forward, is Romeo Doubs going to be okay going forward after the suspension? Are they going to be able to, sort of clean things up there in the locker room? Because, when something like this happens on a team, I feel like there are a ton of possibilities of what can happen next. If a player stays frustrated, could it affect the locker room? Things like that. That is definitely something to keep an eye on in Green Bay. And, lots of people, I was looking through social media last night and today, seeing what other people were sort of thinking about this whole situation. I had wondered at times in the past, when you look at the fact that there are so many talented receivers, there's so many talented receivers here in Green Bay. And the reality is that they're going to want to get paid one day when their contract expires. Of course, Christian Watson and Romeo Doubs are in their third year. Some guys end up getting contracts after their third season. And so I would understand, from a monetary perspective, if you're one of these guys, it's not like the Packers are going to offer them, some market-breaking wide receiver contract, because when you have the ball spread around so much, it sort of gives the Packers the ability to say, well, you're only this percentage of the offense. You're not like a Devontae Adams type or a, Tyreek Hill where you're sort of the focal point, and that could allow the Packers to not have to pay them as much just because there's so much talent here. And I do wonder if that sort of goes into, the situation with Romeo Doubs, which lots of other people have brought up just around social media. That does make sense there from that perspective. I hope that things get resolved going forward, because Romeo Doubs is a very, very talented receiver here in Green Bay, and he is a big piece of this offense, even if he's not the, head and shoulders guy over everyone else. He's a very reliable receiver, a guy that I believe Jordan Love trusts very, very much. And so far this season, Malik Willis started 2 of the games, and Jordan Love has only started 2. So let's hope that this can get resolved and not be a problem going forward for this Packers organization. If it did continue to be a problem, I was just, contemplating in my mind, would he potentially ever try to force a trade? That's sort of what I thought with Jair when that happened as well, because whenever you see a player having a situation like this where the team has to suspend them, there is a possibility, if a team suspends a player, that they are sort of, no longer wanting to cooperate with what's going on. Luckily with Jair, as I mentioned, things were smoothed over and resolved and everything was fine going forward, which is awesome. And I hope that's what happens here in this situation. And once again, we don't know everything. We don't know what Romeo Doubs is thinking right now or sort of what his mindset is regarding this. Maybe we'll hear that in the future, maybe not. But it does make you wonder, can he be okay going forward with this team, or is he going to feel that he wants opportunities elsewhere if he doesn't believe if he believes he's not getting the opportunity he deserves here, would he ever try to get traded? That's a sort of a question that entered my mind. Maybe it doesn't happen. Maybe everything's fine, as the Packers seem to hope here, but it's definitely something to keep an eye on for this Packers offense, for this Packers team as we, move forward. But if you guys want more Packers news, make sure you subscribe down below and turn on the notifications. That way you don't miss any Packers content. I react to Packers news as fast as I possibly can see it to get my thoughts. So make sure you have the post notifications turned on. But we will see how this gets resolved going forward, and hopefully it all smooths over. And I'll end it here with a quote from Tom Silverstein of PackersNews.com. I'd actually filmed this video right before the suspension came out, but obviously this suspension takes precedent. But he had said, Doubs, a source with a connection to the team, said wasn't traveling because of an issue not related to injury, a family issue, or a league-related suspension. The issue is expected to be resolved, and it doesn't appear Doubs' future with the team is in jeopardy. So that's sort of what it sounds like coming from the team potentially, because it's a source with a connection to the team. And so you'd assume the Packers organization is saying, okay, hopefully this is sort of fixed now and we can move forward. That's their hope. Will it happen? I hope so. They believe, it appears that his future with the team isn't in jeopardy, and so that's good news. But obviously things can change. So we'll keep an eye on this and sort of see what happens going forward. But thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.